She was once called the most beautiful woman in the world, a Hollywood legend whose face lit up the silver screen. But Hedy Lamarr's true genius went far beyond acting. She was an inventor, a pioneer, and a visionary whose ideas changed the course of technology. What her family discovered after her passing shocked them to their core. Hedy Lamarr had left behind a fortune so massive, it reduced them to tears. How did she build such wealth? And why did the world only realize her true brilliance decades too late? Hedy Lamarr was born in Vienna in 1914, a striking young woman who quickly rose to fame in Europe before making her way to Hollywood. She dazzled audiences in films like Algiers and Samson and Delilah, captivating millions with her beauty and grace. But for all the adoration she received on screen, Lamarr was far more than just a glamorous actress. Behind closed doors, she was a brilliant mind who spent her spare time inventing. During World War II, Lamarr co-invented a revolutionary technology known as frequency-hopping spread spectrum, designed to protect Allied torpedoes from enemy interference. At the time, her work was dismissed and largely forgotten. But decades later, it became the foundation for technologies we rely on every day: Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and even modern GPS systems. Without Hedy Lamarr, the digital world as we know it might never have existed. Yet for much of her life, Lamarr received little recognition and certainly no financial reward for her genius. Hollywood typecast her as the exotic beauty, while her inventive contributions were overlooked. She married and divorced multiple times, battled financial troubles, and lived much of her later life in seclusion. To outsiders, it seemed as though Lamarr's golden years had long faded. But then came the shocking twist. After her death in 2000, the true scope of Lamarr's legacy began to unfold. As technology companies recognized the value of her pioneering work, her estate began to see financial compensation for patents and intellectual property tied to her inventions. What had once seemed like a forgotten footnote in history suddenly became a treasure trove. Her children and family members were stunned to discover that Hedy Lamarr had left behind a fortune, one so vast that it moved them to tears. The woman who had once struggled financially, who had pawned her own jewelry to get by, had unknowingly secured a legacy worth millions. For her family, the wealth was not just money, it was validation. It was proof that Lamarr had always been more than a Hollywood beauty, that her genius had finally been recognized and rewarded. But perhaps the greatest fortune Lamarr left behind was not measured in dollars. It was her lasting impact on the world of technology, her role as a trailblazer for women in science and innovation, and the inspiration she gave to future generations. Her story is one of heartbreak and triumph, of being underestimated and then rediscovered. Hedy Lamarr's family cried not just because of the wealth she left behind, but because of the bittersweet truth: it had taken the world far too long to honor her brilliance. She had lived much of her life underappreciated, only to be celebrated after she was gone. Today, she is remembered not only as a Hollywood star but as the woman who helped invent the future. In the end, Hedy Lamarr's fortune was more than financial. It was a legacy of beauty, intelligence, and resilience. She proved that true genius cannot be confined to a single role, and that sometimes the greatest treasures are only recognized long after they are gone.